Gourmet Guitars, the best luthiers DVD series. From guitar enthusiasts for guitar enthusiasts.
You know, a lot of people think the ultimate is a Brazilian rosewood guitar, and it is wonderful wood. It has certain properties, certain tonality.
In this case, the back and the sides are Brazilian rosewood, which is Dalbergia nigra. And Brazilian rosewood is unfortunately a restricted material that can't be exported from Brazil unless it can be proven that it was cut prior to 1992, in keeping with the CITES treaty that was signed in that year.
It's a wonderful tone wood, and I love to use it, and it makes me think of all the wonderful pre-war guitars that I've worked on in my past.
I stack up 50 pieces of Brazilian rosewood, all acceptable to my standards, and then I let the person pick. And I say, these are all okay with me in the range, you pick the one you want. So I just take myself out of the equation. And they narrow it down to 4 or 5, and then we, you know, I pick based on which one I think is going to help lend itself to the sound that they want, how they want this guitar to perform. That's a little bit different than what would I pick. I can show you what I would pick. I'd probably pick this. It's stable. It has a lot of, you know, mostly straight grain. It's a beautiful color. It's sort of a dark brown with some reddish amber highlights, and yet it has some of the dark spidering stuff, some of the flats on stuff. I mean, you know, as a repair person, I tend to sort of lean towards the stuff that is less likely to check and end up cracked. So that's what I would pick in terms of tone and structure.
It does have a distinctive tone that is unlike other rosewoods, but I've made some what I consider fabulous guitars out of Indian rosewood, and cocobolo, Honduras rosewood, and other tone woods like maple or mahogany.
I do seem to prefer maple and also mahogany.
Yeah, it's just beautiful, the wood on the back.
He does manage to pick up very interesting mahogany. I don't know, he showed me just some planks of the curly mahogany, which is almost unknown, really. I mean, everything you see is straight grain, but he comes up with some beautiful patterns to it.
He called this chocolate. He said it was very chocolate-like.
Chocolate.
Is
that a color tone or a pattern?
I don't know. Well, I guess it depends on the chocolate. Chocolate with nuts, without nuts, I don't know.
Right.
But it's just beautiful.
Well, it's
so
got
unusual
a nice
looking.
Cross
can you? I
grain to
don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Pick it up.
Can you?
It's not your standard straight grain.
No, it's
mahogany.
very unusual, but it's just so beautiful sounding. This is Julie's. I wanted to, when I knew we were doing this, I wanted to bring this guitar out.
Being a singer-songwriter by background, for me, rosewood competed with my voice because it was kind of right in that range, and mahogany and maple left space in the middle for me.
Each have a distinct personality, and I would say that Indian rosewood does not sound like Brazilian rosewood. I think that I sort of like to think of it as a spectrum of reverb, where Honduras rosewood has a bell-like reverb, Brazilian rosewood has a rich reverb, and if you were talking electronics, like a really good lexicon reverb, and maple has the dry sound, and there are other tone woods in between. Mahogany is not as dry as maple, but definitely drier than Indian rosewood, and Indian rosewood is drier than Brazilian rosewood. And cocobolo is a little drier than Brazilian rosewood, but pretty closely related.
Brazilian rosewood, when it's legally obtained, is indeed an extremely fine wood to build guitars out of, and so is Adirondack spruce. And when you put the two together, the Brazilian rosewood with the Adirondack, and if you are at the level of a builder who's capable of doing all this to the perfection that we demand, you do so without any stridency whatsoever. A lovely, smooth, fluid sound with what we call tremendously powerful and strong articulation, meaning that every note stands out from every other note in every fret position. And that's asking a lot from a builder and from a guitar. Every note retains exactly the same amount of clarity. It contains harmonics and overtones that are desirable, none of which are undesirable, which are called wolf tones, which you don't want to hear. Adirondack is the chosen, most preferred top wood that a guitar can have. The C.F. Martin Company, which sets the standard at all times for the flat top guitar and has over the last 175, 180 years done so, used Adirondack from the beginning of time until the early 50s, when it became more cost effective for them to switch to Sitka. But modern builders who desire to have the best sound, the most fluid sound, the widest range of tone, choose Adirondack for those tonal characteristics.
Gourmet Guitars, the best Luthiers DVD series. From guitar enthusiasts for guitar enthusiasts.